Test.
You are listening to an exclusive on Pod Hub Network. Your city, your podcast.
To the delight of this crowd, McClendon marches down the dugout steps with first base.
McCutcheon's throw. The runner breaks to the plate. Here's the throw. Wow. It is out. The Buccos win. That ball's hit well to left center field. Back toward the track. And that ball is gone.
You are listening to the North Shore 9 podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, make sure to watch NS9 Live every Thursday on Twitch and help support by becoming a patron. Let's go Bucks!
Good morning, everybody. Happy opening day. It is Thursday, April 1st. Before I begin, Jim, there will be no April Fool's jokes on here. I don't want to hear any of that crap. All right? I'm just warning you. No April Fool's-ish. It's opening day. That's all we're recognizing today. So good morning. Happy opening day to you.
Good morning. Happy opening day. You know, I didn't even realize it was April Fool's Day. Until you mentioned that.
Since your whole New Year's Eve episode, you're like, I'll see you next year, Donardo. I just have to make sure I warn you, to play it safe. So
I'm always good for like there's some April Fool's jokes that obviously are April Fools, but like every once in a while a good one comes around. I can appreciate a good one.
I mean, I have nothing against, I guess, a good one, but I just find like 99% of them aren't good. And I don't trust you, Jim. So
Did you see the guy like super mad on Twitter about Volkswagen the other day?
No.
So apparently Volkswagen last year like put out a press release saying that they're going to change their United States operations to Volkswagen, right? Volt, V-O-L-T,
right.
Wagon. And this guy was like, is this for real? Like, and Volkswagen was like, yeah, this is for real. This is what we're changing it to. And, and apparently like, they just never said anything about it ever again. Obviously, it kept going on as Volkswagen. And this dude got like super mad at Volkswagen for like lying to him. And Volkswagen was like, it was an April Fool's joke, dude.
I could appreciate, especially it's coming from like a corporation that big. Yeah. That's pretty good. But again, the average person just stop it. Anyways, and it's so obvious. I don't know. But regardless, as mentioned, it is opening day. The Pirates will play the Cubs today at 2:20. Hopefully, as long as there's not like some winter storm or something. It's supposed to be like 18-degree wind chill, I think.
Yeah, geez, like
that's going to be fun.
Players are going from sunny Florida, staying on the beach, to the Windy City. I think it was 23-degree wind chill this afternoon in Chicago.
I'm just trying to imagine playing baseball in that period, right? But like you said, not only just playing baseball in it, but you're leaving Bradenton, Florida, where blue skies, like you said, the beach is right there, 80 degrees plus, Vanessa Hudgens, and now you're going, to the Windy City, 23 degrees wind chill to play a baseball game. Oh, that can't be good. I'm just praying everyone's healthy.
I remember playing high school baseball games, and because in Pennsylvania, you don't really have a whole lot of time to play baseball. So I remember playing games in March, and I remember it like legit snowing during games. So I remember it wasn't fun. Like I don't recall those as being fun. So yeah, I don't think 23-degree wind chill is an ideal baseball situation, but
Not at all.
hey, it'll be baseball.
That it will be. So I guess we should get into the show a little bit here. Where do you want to start, Jim? Are we going to start a little bit about the possible roster construction here? Who made it? Who didn't? A la Todd Frazier.
Touch a little bit on that. Yeah, I guess we haven't really talked since Todd Frazier news. So Todd Frazier, in the span of 3 days, gets cut. Can't find a job, I guess.
Becomes the enemy. Gets cut and becomes the enemy for a little bit here.
Actually, he didn't even get cut. He opted out because he was told he wasn't going to make the team. Yeah. People lose their minds. He's unable to find a better job anywhere else. And so now he is back on the Pirates with a minor league deal and will be part of their their training facility or whatever they're calling it nowadays. So still not on the team. Couldn't find a job elsewhere. I don't really understand why people were so upset about this.
That's what I'm like so lost on.
Todd Frazier being on the team has no effect whatsoever on really the outcome of this season. I mean, I can understand why people like him. I can get that, but like,
I don't get the outrage.
Come on, people. Exactly.
What you're saying is absolutely true. I can understand why people like him. Like when the Pirates and Todd Frazier came to an agreement, my eyes perked up. I was like, oh, that's cool. Todd Frazier's on the Pirates. That's cool. That's interesting. But either way, like it's not so much like, oh my God, Todd Frazier's on the Pirates. Like we're going to do some things this year. No, the Pirates are terrible either way. Right. As mentioned, like if the Pirates had Todd Frazier or didn't have Todd Frazier, they're not going anywhere. Like he's not the difference maker of anything. He was at best, he was a platoon, the left side, right? The lefty platoon, not the righty. So the opposite side of the platoon, and like a late innings bench bat. Like Todd Frazier wasn't going to have a huge impact on this team performance wise. The reason I think he was going to make it was simply for the fact that, he had good platoon splits against lefties. And for the fact, like, he was the veteran. Like, he could be that mentor to this young team. It is a very young team. As we joke, Jacob Stallings is like the old veteran. And, he's not even, like, eligible yet, So it's like, it kind of made sense for him to make the team. But for him not to make the team is a non-issue to me. It's like, okay, well, then I guess he's not going to make the team. It's going to instead be Phillip Evans, which theoretically, and I think you and I could agree to this, I don't know if I really view him long-term, but okay, let's find out, I guess, if he has anything. Let's give him a full season this year, see what he can do. It's a rebuilding club. I would rather see, I guess in the grand scheme of things, I'd rather see Phillip Evans this year than Todd Frazier, because Todd Frazier is not part of this club in 2023 when they can potentially compete.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, and I think at the end of the day, it came down to just the versatility aspect. They talked about, it looks like it came down to Phillip Evans for Todd Frazier, right? So Phillip Evans can play first base, second base, third base, corner outfield. Todd Frazier is really just limited to those corner infield positions. So, yeah, in a season like this, where I think they're probably gonna carry a decent amount of pitchers. It seems like
versatility is a big thing.
Versatility is what it came down to,
right?
And Phillip Evans being able to play 5 different positions made the team over Todd Frazier can play 2.
Right. And you're right.
We talked about Evans had a good spring. Like, what are you going to tell Phillip Evans after he actually out-hit Todd Frazier during spring training, and he can do more?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he deserves to make the team.
Yeah, I don't know if that. I mean, I get it. I don't know if that'd be a super difficult question in conversation. I mean, if I'm Phillip Evans, I'd be disappointed, but at the same time, I mean, I guess it just is what it is. But at the same time, you're absolutely right. We've discussed this. We've talked about this. This is going to be the year where every team needs all kind of pitching. We have a 26-man roster now, so you have the extra player, which most teams probably going to be a pitcher anyways. It makes sense. Like there's great value in having a guy as a pitcher go multiple innings this year, but there's also great value in a player who can play multiple positions because that frees up, a potential another bench spot for you. Like why carry another bench guy to play corner outfield or corner infield when you have one guy that can do that while also playing outfield and middle infield? Like Sean Rodriguez, like we joked and always said, like even though Sean Rodriguez, except for that one great year, even though Sean Rodriguez wasn't a great player, he had great value because he could play good defense everywhere. And that's one player you need that can cover every spot. There's a lot of value in that. And this year is a year where a Sean Rodriguez would have a lot of value. I'm not saying Phillip Evans is Sean Rodriguez by any means, but what I'm trying to do is compare that. That's what Evans does bring. He brings that versatility. He brings the ability to play all over the diamond to a degree. And that's why he has that value over Todd Frazier. But regardless, it's Todd Frazier. It's 35-year-old Todd Frazier. He's not making any difference on this club. I don't care what power he has. I don't care what he can do. He can't play full-time. He's a part-time player. And there's people out there that are like completely outraged. There's people talking about how can you lose Todd Frazier as if like he's the face of the franchise. Well, now I'm not going to go to a baseball game because Todd Frazier's not on the team. Are you kidding me?
Right. Yeah, no, I mean you hit the nail on the head there. The versatility pays off, and we're spending a lot of time talking about Todd Frazier. That I mean, I don't even know if it warrants it, to be honest.
Is that your cue to say let's move on?
That's my cue.
Yeah. All right. So I guess where do we want to head next? The bullpen,
center field. Center field.
Okay.
It looks like there's the fourth outfielder was going to come from that battle, right? And it looks like they still haven't named an opening day starter yet. Shelton apparently isn't going to do that until like 2:09 today.
I was
or
say,
something.
hopefully by 2:20.
Yeah, hopefully like we have a lineup in place. But if I had to guess, it's probably going to be Alford. But I mean, honestly, it could be either of them. But Fowler has made the team, right? Mm-hmm. So Goodwin did not. So Fowler and Alford will be that. I have a feeling they'll kind of split some time, but those are your center fielders right there. I think with that, it honestly just came down to Goodwin didn't really do anything to make the team, but it also came down to just roster construction in general.
I agree.
Alford and Fowler were on the 40-man. Goodwin wasn't. Were you going to DFA somebody so that you could put Goodwin on the team? And I mean, he's just not someone who you do that for.
Yeah. I mean, the Goodwin signing is one that I think a lot of people liked. I did as well. Why not? He's a guy, a veteran. He can do some stuff. We talked about it. You in the offseason, we going back and forth. I think you mentioned how he's probably going to have like the most time in center field, which I would agree with up until this point. Thing is, like they traded for Dustin Fowler. Dustin Fowler is similar to Anthony Alford, where he was a prospect once, not so much anymore. But I mean, think about it. Charrington traded for this guy. As you mentioned, he's on the 40-man. Goodwin's not. This is a crunch. Do you want to lose Fowler? I mean, I guess if you trade for him, there's something you saw. You probably want to see something. Again, we're talking about the future. I'm not going to put my money that Dustin Fowler is going to pan out and be a good player, but Goodwin's not on this club in 2023. Like, Goodwin's not part of this future. If there's a guy that you're looking for to potentially be, it is Dustin Fowler. So, in a year where, again, this is a rebuild. This is officially finally a rebuild. We have a direction we're going forward. in this year, I would much rather have Anthony Alford and Dustin Fowler, where wins don't matter, right? To be my center fielder opposed to Goodwin, who might actually be the better player, But again, do wins really matter? Does it matter if you win 58 wins or 59 wins? I mean, for draft position, it might. And therefore, you want the 58. But it doesn't. It doesn't. And I would rather see these guys to understand maybe going forward what I do have here. I mean, again, I know your stance on Anthony Alford, and I'm way closer to your side of that than a stance of he's going to be a good player. But and this is all hypothetical, right? But if Anthony Alford shows this year, he can be really good player is pushing it. He can be he can be a fine player, Jim. If he shows he can be a fine player, you found out, and that's huge.
Sorry, I don't understand.
I don't either, Google. I have no idea what I'm talking about here.
Google's like, what are you guys talking about?
I know, right? But it's like if Anthony Alford hits and he shows he's a capable player, you did something here. You found out, and now you have more information going forward for this rebuild. Like the same with Dustin Fowler. What if he does show something? All right, cool. Now I'm good. I can go forward. I can assess his team. There's no point of having Goodwin on the club. So if an injury happens, which it could definitely happen, Goodwin's up here. He's playing. But I get this as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, again, it came down to roster construction, I think, and the fact that there's at least a glimmer of potential still remaining in both Fowler and Alford, whereas Goodwin kind of is what he is. And if we're kind of moving around the diamond, kind of the same thing happened to catcher too, right? Mm-hmm. You had Tony Walters, who was a minor league free agent signing, non-roster invitee. So same thing. Do you DFA somebody to add Tony Walters? The Cubs thought it was okay to do that. So as Tony Walters
maybe speaks more to the Cubs situation than anything.
as he actually makes the Chicago Cubs, right, as their backup catcher. But yeah, same situation there, because they're probably not gonna DFA Perez. They're not gonna lose catching depth, because we've seen in other years. Odds are they're going to need more than two catchers this year, right?
For sure.
So something's going to happen at some point in the season. They're going to have to call up a catcher. Just losing Perez isn't probably what they would have wanted. So yeah, same situation there. Like I don't think Perez is necessarily better than Walters, mm-hmm. but that's just what it comes down to, is the roster and how it's made up.
True. Agree there. I don't have too much on that either. I agree with you. I think Walters probably is the better one, but same. But even at that, it's
minimal.
Yeah. Right. I mean, like, what are we really comparing here? You're not even talking about Walters is a good catcher. You're just saying that he's just not as bad as this bad catcher. I mean, that could be harsh. I'm sorry.
Can we just say, though, that Tony Walters didn't make the Rockies or the Pirates this year, but he made the Cubs.
Oh man, fly the W.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that says something. All right. So yeah, the catching. Do you want to now go to the pitching? There's not really much.
Yeah,
I mean, middle infield, Cole Tucker's down AAA. I think we all expected that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think anything surprising.
The one semi-surprise was Jeff Hartley.
Yeah.
So Jeff Hartley gets optioned, sent down to the minors. Santana was an early cut, which he didn't perform very well in spring training, whereas others were. Mm-hmm. So maybe that had something to do with it. But yeah, Jeff Hartley going down to the minors. I kind of thought he was close to like lock status on this team, but what it could have came down to is just like he has options, right? And maybe other guys don't. So and again, he really didn't pitch very well at this spring either. So I guess when you mix those two together,
Right.
you get an option to the minors.
Well, and I was going to say, I think with the bullpen, that's the biggest game of them all. We talked about like the construction everywhere else, like Goodwin being sent down because he has options. Like I think it's the bullpen that was affected the most with this because there's a lot of arms on this club, which is good. I mean, again, we're talking about this. Every team needs lots of arms this year, but there's a lot of arms that don't have options left that, if you do cut them, that they're gone. And right, like Hartlieb has the option. Put them down there because you're going to need some of these guys to pitch. Say a Michael Feliz. Honestly, big picture, do you think Michael Feliz or Jeff Hartlieb will be the better pitcher? Probably Jeff Hartlieb. I would put my money on them. But do you want to just lose Michael Feliz at the expense of having Jeff Hartlieb up here when you can have both if you just option them? So I think you're right. Like that game's being played. Will Crow could potentially be another guy because that's not finalized yet either.
Yeah, it looks like there's still like two spots there that are left up for grabs. So I think it's what is it? The two spots are down to has Chase Shreve. So Chase Shreve is somebody who's still in camp, I believe.
I think he
or was he optioned?
Yeah.
Okay, well, good because he was bad. Well, maybe it's all set. I don't even know. It's well, okay. So 2 days ago, they reassigned Shreve and DeJong.
Yes, that sounds about
so. Okay, it looks like it's set then. I think it's all set. Sam Howard's the lefty. No other lefties. It doesn't look like any non-roster invitees made the team that I can see.
Well, then that says it. Then we're done.
Yeah.
It's set.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
But I guess have they even said anything about Crow, right?
No.
Did Crow make the team?
I guess.
Or is there still moves to be made? Because I guess they still need to like officially put Brault on the IL. There's a few people who need to go on the IL.
Yeah, so there's 28. I'm showing on the active roster 28. But of course, one being Brault, who would go on the IL. So yeah, I think there's one more. I think there's still one more move to be made.
Luis Oviedo is being shown on the active roster.
Right. So I think it's coming down to really either him or Crow.
Okay.
I mean, with that being said, who else?
Yeah. I guess Cody Ponce has to go on the IL.
So he could. Excuse me. So we could be the good then. If Ponce on the IL, then we're good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be 26. Okay. We're set.
There we go. It's all set.
Great content, guys.
How about Chad Kuhl getting the ball today? Your boy, Chad Kuhl.
Yes.
Opening day starter.
This is the start of my... I don't even know. What was... I gave you something, and I had a Chad Kuhl stat, too, for our unders. I think, wasn't it top... What did I say? A top 50 pitcher?
You said top 50.
I did say 50? Okay, so I thought about this. So a little... shine some light on here. I did mention that because going through Fangraphs the past few years, top 50 pitcher put him at like a 2.7 WAR, I think, something like that. And the names out there, it wasn't like egregious. It's not as if like he's out there with some like top names, right? But Jim, I did a fantasy draft this Monday night, the North Shore 9 Fantasy League, right? It's an auction draft, so it's no snake. You can choose whomever you want. I don't even remember who it was, but someone I know they're doing it for me. They're trying to get me. Someone put out Chad Kuhl very early it was a buck. Chad Cool. I don't even think I had a pick yet, which I had a very long delay. People were spending money right and left. I was not about that. So someone put out Chad Cool very, very early for a buck. All I had to do is add one more dollar to it, Jim. $2 to spend on Chad Cool. And I couldn't do it. And I mean, it's myself. It's the Chad Cool stand right here.
You couldn't spend $2.
I couldn't spend $2 on Chad Cool. And I will tell you what.
It's a top 50 pitcher.
As this draft kept going on, and all these names were coming out, and I just thought to myself, would I pick Chad Cool over this guy? Would I pick Chad Cool over this guy? And I'm like, man, I love Chad Cool. I think Chad Cool can turn out to be, I'm not saying top, like this isn't like an ace. I'm not saying that. But I think there's more to Chad Cool than what he has shown. But top 50 pitcher, I think, is a stretch, even for me. That draft put some perspective on it. So he better eat some innings this year, because that's how he's going to have to gain that WAR.
That's like the only way. Yeah, it's like the only way you can do it. Is if like he somehow throws like 200 innings this year, which I mean, has Chad Cool like recorded an out in the 5th inning of a baseball game before? I don't know.
Well, definitely not since 2018.
It's definitely not going to happen today.
No,
and actually, that was I put that in the group chat. Pat Lackey had a good question yesterday. Like, seriously, what is the day that a Pirates starting pitcher, like, name the date, Pirates starting pitcher records an out in the 6th inning of a game this year?
I'm going to go with my birthday, April 28th, because
that's late.
It is late.
Like that's 4 weeks of not recording an out in the 6th inning.
Think about this rotation though as well. It's not strong. It's not like it's guys that are notorious for going deep into games.
I mean,
maybe Tyler Anderson does one of his starts.
So that's what I'm thinking. Like Anderson and Cahill, I feel like they just don't really care about. Like, There's no reason to like hold back with those guys. I mean, obviously you don't want to like tear their arms up, but those are two guys that they are like specific. Their job on this team is to just pitch innings.
Right.
Like, that's literally all they were brought here for. So yeah, I could maybe potentially see a start where one of those two is rolling, and they creep into the 6th inning. But yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, I don't know if Chad Cool's gonna get there. How many? Like I said, like, even in Chad Cool's best years, how many times did he pitch into the 6th inning?
Stop it, Jim. But you're right. And I mean, there's still like this ramp up period to a degree, but. Again, like with this team, it's not like most of these guys. And I know you're talking about Cahill, and you're all right. Like their design is to be on this club to eat innings, but it's not as if they're just guys that went deep into games all the time too. I mean, yeah, we don't care about them anymore. Where back then, I guess when they're on the teams, they were cared about by those previous teams. Right. So maybe there's a bit of a difference, but yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a while.
I'm actually like Trevor Cahill's sort of even a little interesting because he really hasn't been bad. Like I'm kind of surprised he was even still a free agent when the Pirates picked him up. I mean, the guy last year pitched in 11 games, started 6, he had a 3.24 earned run average. Like, and it's not like he's like 37; he's 33, right? I'm kind of there because I feel like a lot of teams are gonna be needing pitchers right now,
right?
So Cahill not having a job was a little shocking.
Yeah, like you said, for how late he signed, and all for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's not bad,
right? He's not terrible. He's also not bad. I mean, he's serviceable. And for a year that you're going to need arms, as mentioned, he's definitely available. So I don't know if it just was a mixture of opportunity and price tag. I don't know. I guess the Pirates are willing to pony up and spend money. Pirates came in and met Trevor Cahill's demands. You know who else's demands were met? Francisco Lindor's.
His demands were met. How about that?
Wow. Coming in at the top of the ninth inning. Yeah, he said that he didn't want to sign into the season. Last we heard, both sides are apart, and they came 10 years, $344 million, Jim. Man, kids play baseball.
I love it.
Do we want to talk about that a little bit now?
Yeah, we can talk about it. Yeah, and you know what? I was actually kind of thinking about this too. And we'll just kind of touch on Lindor a bit, but the guy's electric. You know, he's one of those. He's a superstar. I would squarely put him, and I'd be completely comfortable, just like writing in ink that he's a top 10 player in baseball. Like he's good. When it comes to shortstops, you know, Tatis is my boy, but I think he still just has a little bit more to prove, right? I mean, so like if I'm even ranking shortstops, like, hey, if you need to stop on your team this year to win a title, like it's a toss up for me, like Lindor or Tatis. They're both really good, and that's how good Lindor is.
Right,
and you know, him hitting free agency at his age definitely beneficial for him. I know he wanted 12 years, but he gets 10, largest deal ever by a shortstop. So I think it works out for him.
And by the Mets. I mean, let's put something on there.
Yeah.
It was by the Mets. The Mets ponied up $344 million. This isn't the typical Mets that we've been accustomed to. The parallels of the Mets and the Pirates.
Yeah, and I mean, and the Mets, Cohen has gone in there, and I mean, regardless what you think about him as a person, right? He's gone in there and he's done what he said he was going to do. He is spending money, like he is throwing money around, and yeah, I mean, good for Mets fans. I'm not a big Mets fan, but I'm sure they'll enjoy having Francisco Lindor on their team for the next decade.
I hope so. And like for all the people that were bashing like Lindor, which I will say Cohen was kind of dirty in my mind. Like during these negotiations and him to put out there a tweet out and say, you know, we would love to have Lindor. I hope he signs this offer. Yeah. I took that sideways. I looked at that. I was like, man, is this guy playing dirty? He's trying to put Lindor like as the bad guy. But they do come together, and they met in the middle, $341 million. So a couple things. As you made the comparison to Tatis Jr., Lindor gets $1 more million than Tatis. I didn't even see that comparison until I saw it tweeted last night, or didn't think about that. But yeah, if you remember, Tatis signed for $340 million. I'm sure there is a reason that Lindor got $341 million. So good for Francisco Lindor.
Yep.
Also on top of that, once this contract is over 10 years from now, guess who still will be getting paid? Bobby Bonilla. How about them apples?
There's gonna be something just even more outrageous. Like, there'll be like an apocalyptic event. Earth is like living in this society where like civilization has, you know, doesn't even exist anymore. We're like just living off the land and bartering to survive. And
right.
They'll be like, oh, the Mets paid Bobby Bonilla today. Like Bobby Bonilla Day will still exist.
He's going to like rule the world. He's going to be the only person with cash. We're going to be in a cashless society. And actually money doesn't even exist anymore, but somehow or another, Bobby Bonilla is getting a deposit every July into his account. Yeah. The only cash in the world.
No more cash. It has to be in Bitcoin. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So good for Francisco Lindor. For everyone else that was hating on it, saying he's overrated, saying he's not worth this, kick rocks. Like this stuff this kills me all the time, every single year. Like everyone to bash Lindor because he's not worth that. He's crazy. He should just be accepting of the 325. That's a lot of money. Just shut up and take it, man.
Right.
Who are you to tell someone what they're worth, what they should get? Like this, I said, this everyone. Like, you want to come home and tell me you got a raise? You want to go home and tell me that, man, I just got a new job and they're paying me way more money and I took it. You want me to be happy for you, or you want me to say why? Well, you want me to be angry at you and say you should just been happy with that job you had? Just take the money you're getting. Like every man out there trying to get more money should go ahead and do that. If you want to get more money than what you're getting right now and you're able to do that, good for you. And that's what this literally is. There is a person out there, and I understand it's millions of dollars. I get it, but he feels he can get more than $325 million. And if he feels he can do it, then go do it. Go do it. You should be able to do it. This is America. The American dream, right? Like you put out there. It's the American dream until it's not your dream. Guess what, Jim?
And then the
he
other
did
thing
it.
too. Yeah. And the other thing too is like, what's the alternative? The
Right.
alternative is that the money isn't spent and it just remains in the pockets of billionaires. Like,
Right.
you as fans, we pay money, right, in many ways to fund this sport, right? Whether you buy tickets to games, whether you buy concessions at games, whether you buy the jersey that you're wearing, whether you buy MLB.TV, whatever it is, this money is going to baseball, right? And if they don't spend it on the players, then it's just being pocketed. Like that's the alternative. There's not any other alternative.
Let's also take a step back. When you're watching
not.
WandaVision, that some of that money is going to baseball.
Yeah, I mean, the MLB has their hands in a lot of different operations, right? So they're making money on a lot of different revenue streams. Spend the money. Like, that's what I don't understand. It's if they're like this complete clown the other day who was like, I remember when Mickey Mantle signed $100,000 contract. And I'm like, okay, what are you talking about? There was a completely different time.
Right.
Free agency didn't exist. Are you telling me if Mickey Mantle was able to get paid more than $100,000, he wouldn't have taken it? Like, shut up. So yeah, tickets were 10
and was also MLB
like,
making $11 billion a year.
Right. It was just like, you can't like I'm just like, you are a clown. But yeah, that's the alternative. Like, the alternative is either you give these players the money, these are the players that you're paying to watch, or it's just not being spent. Like, these people who are like, well, they could just lower the ticket prices. I'm like, yeah, that's gonna happen.
Right. So what you want now is to take more money. I don't get that. I mean, that's
right.
Supply and demand. The tickets are what they are,
yeah.
And that's why.
Yeah. It's a terrible argument.
It really is. It really is. You're right. I mean, this reminds me too, and I feel like this is always heightened more because, I mean, let's be honest, NFL is king. That was all over ESPN, not so much baseball. But like when the lockout happened in NFL, and think about how like the entire country was like hating all of the players. Like, these players are so greedy. They should be so happy that they get to play a children's game and play football every week and blah blah blah. And you're right. The players were fighting for an even split with the owners. So it's like, you realize your argument is, so the money's there. The money is in this well, right? It's not leaving, it's there. So what you're saying is we should take more away from the players and just then let all the owners have it. It's like everyone's pissed off at the CEO at their company, right? But they love everyone else's CEO. Like, oh man, this job is dirty. That's so greedy. I didn't get a raise this year because this, our CEO took all the money and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, but you want to go to other ones, say, oh no, please take as much money as you want. Take all of it. All your workers are greedy. They don't deserve this money. Like, that's what we're saying, because it's athletics, right? Because it's a sports league. So all the other CEOs can go ahead and take all the money. Take all the money.
Yeah. I don't get it. Like, as a society, we just don't make a lot of sense.
We don't. Person smart, people are dumb.
As a society, we're a very largely motivated by capitalism society, right? Like, go out and get yours, make as much money as possible. And then when it's like you have these players out here who are trying to do the same, you're like, oh, you're greedy.
Right.
You should take less. Like
I said, it's the like, American dream until it's not yours.
Yeah, it's like all logic goes out the window when it comes to being a fan of a sports team. And I guess I kind of get it to an extent, especially if it's your team, right? Like, you're like, because you have loyalty to your team, right? But like, you can't think of it like that for the players. Like, this is their employer, right? Like,
yes.
It's different. It's different for them. Like, they're not going out there and paying money to cheer for their team. They are getting paid to do a job. And if somebody is willing to pay them more to do that job, then they should be able to do that job somewhere else where they're getting paid more. So it's weird because, obviously fans and players have different goals and different insights on how they view things. But
right.
It's just interesting that, like, as a society, we just like forget about capitalism when it comes to sports, but like it applies to every other aspect of our lives.
And the other thing I want to bring up too is, like, take capitalism out the door. Like, just remove capitalism from this. Look at the human element. Yeah. So he was with the Indians. No choice in that. I'm not saying like he didn't want to be there, but whatever. Like, he was with the Indians. There's no choice in that. Like, he with the organization, he grew up with them. He became a really, really good player with them, and then he gets traded to the Mets. It wasn't it wasn't as if like it was his choice to go to the Mets. He doesn't really have like a loyalty with the Mets. It's not as if he hasn't even played a game for the Mets yet, a true game. So it's not as if he needs to be loyal to the Mets. It's not like Mets fan, complaining about all this. He doesn't owe them anything. Maybe he's never, with this deal, it's very likely. I mean, potentially he could if he's still that good of a player and still playing that. But potentially he's never going to hit free agency. Like, maybe this guy wanted to. He would get wined and dined free agency. He's never going to have that experience. And maybe to him it was like, listen, I mean, I feel like I could sign 325 somewhere else. And that's the open market. And that's where you'd find out how much he's worth. If you really think he's worth or not, you would have found out next year. But maybe it was him saying, like, I don't owe anything to you. I want to see what I'm worth. I want to have that free agent experience. Like, if I'm going to stay, it's worth it to me this much money to stay here. Otherwise, I want to go and be a free agent. And I know money says things, and it probably did. Okay, and think about it. He went and made basically almost $20 million more in those negotiations. Good for him. They were offering 325. He got 341. Good for him. But right, like, the human element is he owed nothing to the Mets. It's not as if he's been this lifelong Mets guy and it's like, I want to stay here. I'll do what it takes to keep me here as a lifelong Met. No, I don't. I'm saying I don't care about you, but there's no ties here. I literally just moved in 2 months ago. And it's ridiculously expensive apartment.
Right. Property values in New York a lot higher than Cleveland, I'd imagine.
Exactly. I'm not used to this. I need that extra $20 million. You see where I'm living now? This ain't Cleveland, Ohio anymore. Anyways, yeah. I think we spent too much time on Lindor and Todd Frazier, both current and ex-Mets. Do we want to move on from him? Anything else you wanted to say to that?
No. Again, kudos to the Mets for getting it done. I think if they would have failed on doing this, I mean, that would have been a bad look. Like, they traded Lindor, and even if they hadn't signed him, I think they still would have made out in a deal. But they traded for him for this opportunity to extend them, and they got it done. So
yeah,
good for them.
Now, Now, Jim, the shortstop market next year. I mean, there's some good shortstops coming out. Be free
So I was actually
agents.
kind of thinking about this. Like, yeah, there are some good shortstops coming out, but none of them are really on Lindor's level. Correa's probably the closest, or maybe like if Seager breaks out again and can stay healthy. I don't know. So, but no one's going to drive the type of deal that Lindor deserved here, right? Like no one's
No,
signing for 10
I agree
years,
that. I agree
$300
with
million.
that.
You're going to have some big deals, right? I mean, Correa is going to sign for over $150 million. Seager's going to sign for over $100 million. Baez could be over $100 million. So I'm forgetting one other too.
Story
Over $100 million, right? So there's going to be some big shortstops getting paid this next offseason. But I was actually thinking this, like, is there going to be, especially with Tatis, right?
Mitch just said Eric Gonzalez is a free agent in 2022.
Eric Gonzalez too, man. Yeah, big time.
If you can't, if you couldn't get Freddie Galvis Sr., right? You can get Eric Tatis Jr.
So I was thinking about this last night. So Lindor, largest deal ever by a shortstop, right? Who's out there who could potentially, unseat that? And I was trying to go through the list of shortstops, and you would say that like Tatis would be that guy, right? But now Tatis is locked up for 14 years. He's not. That's not happening, right? If Tatis maybe went to free agency, yeah. And so I was kind of thinking who out there could break this, and I came up with one name who I think could have the possibility, depending on if he signs one of those early extensions or not. But
Kevin Newman.
I don't know. What do you think? Who do you think has the chance to sign a larger deal than Lindor as a shortstop?
That is tough because shortstop is such a good position right now. It's so deep. I do. Every time I compare it to like the small forwards in the NBA at this point in time. I mean, they are the do-it-alls. They're not just a glove anymore. They're not the best defensive player on the team. They are probably the best defensive player on the team. With what the hell? Sorry, guys, I have an Amber Alert. And I couldn't turn it off. All right. No, they are like one of the best defensive players, but they also have they're 5-tool players, like almost every single one of them right now. 4 or 5 tools, and that's just crazy. So, I mean, are we gonna go? I mean, because it's not going to be Tampa Bay's guy. I mean, he's not going to see that money there at least. I don't know, that much money. Are you going to try to tell me it's him?
That's so like if I came up with a guy, it's Wander. Yeah, I think that's the guy because I mean, and it's going to be a while, obviously, right? You're talking 7 years from now. It's not going to be with Tampa Bay, right? But here's the deal: if Wander comes up, lights the world on fire, and Tampa Bay does do one of these outrageous 15-year, $300 million deals, right? Then Wander's off the table. So I don't know. So it's
I don't think Tampa would ever do that. So
I don't think Tampa would too. But I think that's the guy because I think I could see Tampa maybe trying to buy out like a year or two.
That's what I was going to say. Like, do you think that he maybe signs for some?
I mean,
smaller
if Wander Franco is who we think he is, I don't think he signs a smaller extension. Like he's gonna go big or go home, right? But yeah, no, Mitch hit the nail on the head. He said Wander. That was the name that popped in my mind as the guy who could potentially break this. But I don't think there's anybody in the majors right now who could do it. Like you said, the shortstop position right now is awesome, super deep. It's good. They're fun players. but $341 million.
That's
for
elite
some of
money.
these guys. It's not. I don't see any of them.
And it's also like you said. I mean, some of them already are locked up, and that's why I'm semi. I'm not gonna say worried because I mean, good for him. That's no worries for me. But it's like if Tampa does have some type of extension of some sort about some years, I don't know if in one contract like he hits that, because at that point in time when he becomes a free agent, maybe it's an 8-year 290 he gets or something. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. So, but I mean, he would be the guy if it's all in a vacuum. Team doesn't matter, everything. He's the next guy. He's in my mind going to be the guy that can get that type of money, the type of player he is, and of course where he's coming up into the game right now. I mean, it's not going to be Corey Seager. It's not going to be any of the guys next year we talked about. Though they're looking at this contract and saying, "Well, we're looking good next year now." I mean, if I can get half of Lindor's money, I'm looking pretty damn good right now. I guess, yeah. So no Kevin Newman when he bats 600 this year.
Well, you know what? Hey, if Kevin Newman can bat 600, here's the thing with Newman, though. Let's say he goes out there and bats 600, right? Let's hypothetically.
Hey, Google.
Right? Let's go ahead and let's entertain this thought for a second, right?
Yeah.
let's say Kevin Newman goes out there, bats 600 this year. He's now how old next offseason?
Yeah,
right?
It's old.
He's now 28. Is he 27 right now? So even Kevin Newman following a 600-year season.
He's actually going to be 28 in this year.
He's actually not even a free agent. Like, he's not even arbitration eligible. Like, he's going to bat 600 this year, and he's still going to make $500,000 next year.
No, he'll get a raise. It'll be $515.
Maybe $515.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you're thinking Kevin Newman is that guy? No, not unless you're going to not unless you're going to pay Kevin Newman until he's like 45.
He's going to get the Bobby Bonilla contract. It's going to now be the Kevin Newman contract.
Kevin Newman, 10 years, $342 million, and spread out over
300 million deferred.
$7 million a year for 50 years.
Nutting's putting it all in Bitcoin right now and just praying.
Right. Yeah.
Bitcoin better take off, or we're filing bankruptcy over Kevin Newman. I'm down with it. Let's do it.
Yeah. So I was like, even Newman couldn't even do it.
Well. My mind went blank. Sorry. There was something Anyways. Great content, guys. Great content. Baseball season has begun. Yeah, so I guess obviously there's not too much to talk about the series wise. Chad Kuhl's pitching, and then Tyler Anderson and then Mitch Keller.
Yep.
So I don't know. I guess let's put it this way. So we're doing the wins challenge. That's what I wanted to get into. We're doing the wins challenge. That does end by first pitch. So make sure you guys get your selections in. So I guess, Jim, live on air. Let's go ahead and give ours so we can go ahead and update that to the site. What is your actual wins?
Actual win total, I'm going to go with a solid 54.
That's ridiculous, Jim. They're nowhere near. I can't believe that's too many wins, Jim. That's ridiculous. There are 48 at best.
54 wins, 54 and 108. That's my prediction.
Oh, I feel like this is the hardest year of any because it's so It is. It is because it's so hard to lose that many games. It's so hard. But and also at the same time, this division is bad. That it's not as if like these teams are so. It's not like where the Rockies are bad and they're just going to get pummeled by everyone in the division for the most part. Like the Pirates can squeak out some wins here because the Cubs aren't that good. They have Tony Wolter as a catcher now. So, and I just feel like this team, I'm not saying sneaky good, but sneakily better than what a lot of people think. Like when the win totals are coming out, it's like 58, 59. I think they could be better than that for those two reasons. I think there's some guys that could be potentially better. Now, I know we lost Todd Frazier, so, maybe 54 wins is there on the table. But, yeah, I'm going with 61. Okay. That's still hard to do. I'm going to go with 61.
That's a lot of it's a lot of losses. It's 101 losses, right?
Yeah.
My thing is like anyone who's playing well, right? I feel like is going to get dealt. This
and
team
that's also
deadline,
yes, very true.
Is like this team post trade deadline. I could see just being like an absolute disaster, like a team that like a Buffalo Sabres type baseball team where they're losing 18, 19 games in a row until they finally play the Phillies, right? And they can win a game because Philadelphia sucks.
Finally play the Phillies.
But no, I think that's what happens. I could see like at like mid-July, this team's maybe at like a 65 to 70 win pace, like outperforming what we think they're going to do, and then they just absolutely plummet. Okay,
so and I do agree with that. That's kind of my line of thinking as well, and I've said it here on the show. Like I do think there's gonna be people that are performing better, and once that trade deadline comes, they're dealt, and that's what's going to help this club be, like last place. I guess I don't see the drop off as drastic as you do because I don't know. I don't feel like the replacements are, and I don't think the discrepancy from the replacement to these guys are that big either. So I'm going to go with 61. Still 101 losses. Like that's still tough to do. You got to try to lose 100. And the Pirates have been doing a damn good job trying. So I'll put it that way. Charrington's done a fine job at trying.
I mean, if you think of it, in my lifetime, so I was born in 1987. I'm old. The Pirates have only lost 101 games once.
And remind me, I believe the Pirates have had some really bad seasons in those years.
Yeah, there was this span of like 20 years there.
Wow, really?
They didn't do very well. Yeah.
So yeah, that sounds like, if I recall, that sounds like they've had a pretty bad run, and 100 wins is pretty hard to do. I'm sorry, 100 losses, also 100 wins. 100 anything is hard to do.
Yeah, 100 anything is hard to do. I would say 100 losses is actually a little harder than 100 wins. But I think this team is, if anybody can do it, it's these guys.
That's so terrible. Way to rile up the troops for opening day, Jim. If anyone can do it, guys, you can.
Here's the deal, though. Pirates win today. They take the opener. They take the opener. They fly the L at Wrigley. Pirates win today. Book it. 5-3.
How about it? All right. Well, there it is. So 54 for you too, correct?
54. Yeah.
All right. Just want to make sure I was typing in here. 54 for you, 61 for me. Let's call it a day. Well, actually, we won't call it a day. We're back again tonight, and it's not live. So we'll be talking about the start of this 54 game quest for Jim. All right, everyone. We'll see you all later. Enjoy opening day. Bye-bye.
See you guys.